10-4. Welcome to the Revenue Revelations, where we challenge the beliefs that keep hustlers hustling but never building, and expose the principles behind money, leadership, relationships, and entrepreneurship. We got a banger today. Now it's back to school time. Back to school time, so you already know what that means. Got a question. Is college still a safe bet?
Is college still the safe?
That's a question right there.
Is it?
It almost like college is a scam these days.
You in college, right?
I did.
You in college too, right?
Yeah, I did too.
Well, I mean, what's your perspective on that? You know, you got a lot of kids that's going back to school or getting ready to go back to school, semester starting. What's your viewpoint on that? I mean, is college still worth it?
For me personally, I would say I'm in a lot of debt. Why? I didn't know what I was going for. I just wanted to get away. Just wanted to enjoy the college experience. I didn't know how much it would cost. I didn't know how much it would cost over a time period. I didn't know how much each class would cost. So I didn't know a lot of the fine detail. I just wanted the experience. And that experience caused me to be about 40 to 50,000 in debt.
Oh man, the horror stories.
So I think, like anything, before you spend your money, because college is an investment, you invest in yourself, supposedly. I think you got to do your research. You got to go there with a plan. Don't go there then plan. You should plan before you go, and break down those costs, break down those classes, break down those book costs, break down the living situation. So it's more than just going to college. It's math, it's guidance, and don't wait to fail. You know, plan ahead. That was my take.
What you went to school for, bro?
Man, I thought I was going to school for psychology, and then I realized that they start you off with these intermediate type of classes based on your scoring, and I thought that psychology is what I wanted to go, but you know, as I started to pursue the classes, I realized it's not just psychology. You got to be particular in what type of psychology you want to study: behavior, mental, social. So then again, I was lost. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to study. So the overall branch of what I wanted was psychology. I ended up doing sports psychology for like coaching and training, but I realized without the proper information, without the proper guidance, you're gonna waste a lot of time and waste a lot of money.
Damn, I heard that.
Yeah, I feel like what you said is still the safe bet. Like,
You had went to college too, right?
yeah, I went to his college.
Yeah,
actually. Yeah, I went up there. Yeah, man. And I was in the dorm rooms. I was in his classrooms. I was in his libraries with him. I guess they thought I was him.
You just
You know what I'm saying? I was definitely in that mode with him.
you was at the school. You just wasn't in the school.
That's crazy, right?
Okay,
You know what I'm saying? But I think that you know, it's today. You know, like you say, it all depends on what you're going there for. What's your because if you just want to get an experience and you want to be around friends and family, and you just want that social environment, and you know you want to learn a little bit, and then you probably want to look like you're doing something with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and spend your money. But if you want to be successful, then you may have to reconsider some things. So I know college, of course, to be a doctor. You know what I'm saying? You want to be an excellent lawyer. You know, things of that nature, things that requires for you to have some sound credentials that's proven that you are good enough in this particular skill, then obviously, yeah. But if you have that, man, I barely finished high school. You know, I graduated with the 2.5. You know, I was scraping the crumbs. I really didn't like school. That was not my attitude. And then, man, it's better for you to go to the military. Go ahead and go to the military if that's the case. So it all depends on what you're going for. You know, that's what it all depends on. And I think people think that automatically you're going to be successful when you go to college. Like, that's my success. Quite frankly, that's the opposite. We got a lot of people that we know, like you said, that's in debt with six-figure numbers that's in debt. And they are basically on the same level as me and you. So it's like, why haven't your life excel so much more higher? I never went to college. I ain't finished high school. So, like, why your life ain't excel so much more than mine? So
Right.
maybe college wasn't the answer. You know, people think college is the answer. It's the person, really. You know. So I don't know. It's a 50.
And you know what's crazy? If I could add to that, when I say do the research, after I got to college, I realized they had these two programs. They had a mechanic program and they had this police academy program. Those are, one of them is a skill. They had an actual built-out building with a mechanic building, shop inside of the school. If I would have did my research, I would have, okay, my dad was a auto body mechanic for all these years. But let me see if I could do that and learn a skill rather than just going and doing book with paperwork.
Yeah.
If I would have did my research before I went, I could have maybe took that course of actually learning the skill and leaving college with some type of skill.
Yeah.
Rather than leaving college with a whole bunch of debt.
Nah, I feel that. What was your experience, bro? You family, ain't you?
Yeah.
What's the party you got right here?
The only benefit that I got from going to college was my social skills. And if you want to go to college just for a major, I feel like it's no point of it these days because to be honest with you, the best thing that I've gotten from going to college was networking. I know some Chinese dudes, I know some Asian dudes, you know what I'm saying? Because FSU is like 10 minutes away from FAMU. So if besides that, it was no reason for me to go to college at all. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to be successful, I think you just might as well just pick up a trade, to be honest with you.
I feel like the trade carries a little bit more weight and a little more value in today's society.
Way more value because now with a trade, you have a skill. And with a skill, you could potentially create your own revenue, and from revenue, you can start a business.
But that still depends on the person, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Facts.
it depends on that person, because you say do it carry more weight. It depends on the person. Because if you're a technical person and you like to be brown nosing in your studies, spending 12 hours a day, always trying to learn something, whether it's from a book, then yeah, you might want to be in that college environment because you continuously learn. Not saying that's not the only space that you can learn in, but it is the ecosystem of learning, you know. And you may want to be in that space where you, like you say, you also network with other great minds like you. But if you was not interested, I feel like if you was not really inclined to being around that environment to learn, if you felt like I like to go and build stuff outside, like I like to go against the norm. If you was that type of person, you know, I didn't follow typically the crowd, then typically probably college is not going to be an environment. And then who giving us the guidance, like, understand, like my parents, as far as I know, they ain't go to college, right? But they always thought that we should. But like, okay, why though? Give me some examples. My sister went to college.
How'd it work out for her?
She didn't. You know, she might got what you get a bachelor's,
Associates
in the bachelor's.
Yeah.
I don't even think she got the bachelor's. But the thing was, she came back from college, and I mean, her life didn't seem to have any more advantages than I did. You know, as a matter of fact, you was considering my hustle. You know,
Right.
so it was just like, how much time did you put? But I think that was just because that was put on, the emphasis was just kind of put on us because they felt like, ah, man, go do something better than us. You understand? But if the person is inclined to it, if they show some type of savvy, like, man, you look like you gonna excel great in that, then yeah, go ahead and send them to college. Let them get a skill in a particular field that you need college for. Like you said, you don't need it for everything, but you know, especially like, oh, I need to go to college to learn a business. That's cap.
Yeah, and then this generation is a more of a quick, hands-on type of generation. So a lot of people attention span is not built for college to sit up in the classroom for 30, 45 minutes and listen to a teacher lecture from a paper. A lot of these kids these days is more hands-on. So like you say, a trade is learning and more hands-on activity. So, you know, a skill may be beneficial to a lot of this generation that's learning fast and hands-on and always moving. You know, that's sitting still listening to a professor teach, that may be critical for a lot of this generation.
I personally don't believe that college is automatically a good or a bad investment. You know, like y'all boys laid out some pretty compelling arguments, right? it all boils down to the individual, to the person. Number one, you have no business taking on any type of significant financial endeavor without doing the research, right? You don't just do it just because that's what your parents told you to do, or that's because, you know, you saw something on TV that said that college is the way to go. No, you need to go and do your own research first, okay? Do your own research. Now, it's actually a fact that college graduates, now see, here's the thing, college graduates, 40% of the people that go to college will not finish it. Of the people that finish it, the 60% that do finish, 22% of them will get a job in the field that they majored in, right? So you just spent 4 years and probably 6 figures, anywhere between $75,000 and $150,000 to get this education, right? That is a 22% likelihood that you're going to get a job in the field that you studied in, that you majored in. So when you're taking all of the opportunity costs into consideration, opportunity cost is what you had to sacrifice in order to get something else. That's basically what it boils down to, right? So you sacrifice time and you sacrifice money and to get the education, right? So the college education gave you an information base. You now have an information base in a said field. Let's say that you go to school and hopefully you went and studied something that is relevant to, you know, today's time, to today's society. So that's going to be anything in STEM, anything that's in healthcare or medicine and finance. Outside of those 3 fields, I don't know what to tell you. You going to school to study communication, like you say, you going to study psychology, right? And that sounds good. But when you look at the money that's being made in the social services area, you're not going to be making a lot of money doing that. Now you got some people that can do well and that will do well, but that's the exception and not the standard. You see what I'm saying? So when you're making these major decisions in your life, you need to make decisions based off of information, off of hard facts. So you need to go and educate yourself about education and find out what fields are making the money. Now see, here's the thing. Depending on how tight the gateway to entry is going to determine how successful or how much money you're going to make in that particular field. For example, how easy is it to get a communications degree?
Pretty simple, probably.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna take some English classes, you're gonna take some humanities classes, you're gonna take some
Sociology class.
classes, and then of course your basic general education requirements. You got a communications degree. How much money you finna make when you graduate?
What social?
It depends on who you know.
Communications degree is supposed to consist of? What that's supposed to say you are able to communicate?
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
Nobody knows. I don't know. What does it qualify you to do? You a good communicator?
Guess help you work in the call center.
Or you can
That's
do hosting in media, but to get in those circles, you have to know somebody to get in.
So see, now you're still talking about the exception as opposed to the standard.
Yeah. See, so
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to if you got a degree in chemical engineering,
Yeah.
right? Or you going to get a job at a petroleum factory. You going to work at Chevron. You going to work at Exxon. You going to work at Shell. You know what I'm saying? BP. You going to work at a place like you got a degree in electrical engineering. You gonna go work for Motorola or AT&T or something like. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna go and take that route, just understand that the trade-off. There's a trade-off. So if you want something that's gonna be easy for you to do, well, understand that you're gonna get a reward in comparison to whatever effort you put in to get it.
Facts.
Don't that make sense?
So you look at college as an investment?
Is it an investment? It can be an investment. It can be an investment if it's executed properly, right? Now, see me, I had a brief stint at community college, very brief stint. See, I was one of those ones, I didn't like nobody telling me what to do. That's good and bad. It's good and bad. When I look back on it now, because I started it, I do look at it now and say, man, I really, since I started it, I should have finished it. You know what I mean? But I just, just sitting there and that, that rebellious.
Why you feel like you
rebellious
should have finished
phase.
it?
Because I started it. I should have finished it because I started it.
That's it? Just because?
Just because of that. It's the principle of the thing. You know what I'm saying? It's more a matter of principle, right? I set my mind to do something, and I want to finish what I start. But that's just for me. You know what I mean? Now, the benefit, did I see any potential benefit of it? I kind of agree with what Lee said. College is more of a networking type environment. Education is paramount. There's no way around that. You must have education. Now, do you need to go and pay 6 figures for the education? Like I said, it all depends. You need a plan.
Yeah, depends. All right.
You got to have a plan. Do you have a plan for how this education is going to work out? Because if you're going to say that you're going to go and be a psychologist, or you're going to be a social services worker or something like that, well, you need to find out how much money do the average person who pursues this degree path make. Right? You finna be working at DCF, making $35,000, $40,000 a year. And in order to have a livable wage in South Florida, especially if you're trying to live in Miami, you want to live in Miami. If you're making less than $85,000 a year for just you hurting.
You know how I would use college though. Like right now in our situation, in particular, with my 6 kids, this is how I would use college.
How many kids, bro?
Yeah, 6.
6.
But this is how I would use college. Like, okay, so I'm not gonna say that I'm where I want to be, but I'm in a much better state, you know what I'm saying, than I was 10 years ago, right? So as far as financially, so I would use college. Say, hey, I got my kids. One of my oldest is 17, and I would say, all right, well, I done built this up thus far. This is why I built up, and this is why I potentially see my business going. Let's just say I scale out of the restaurant and we go into, let's just say, logistics, you know what I'm saying, trucking or whatever the case may be. And I was asked, and what I would suggest to my kids, say, let's say one of my younger ones, and say, hey, you go and learn a skill, particularly in logistics. Now, I don't know what subject that would be in college, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I haven't been there, but I would tell them to learn something under that branch. So once I open this business here, that they'll come and bring the college information to me for about this business, that we can also be successful. That's one of them. But then I take another kid, and quite frankly, I like to have kids. And I know my family like to have kids too. I take one of them and I say, hey, how about you go to medical school and you probably learn some, midwifery or something like that. Learn that. And so now you could be our in-house, and then we could start a clinic or a personal practice, right amongst our own family. I would use college like that versus go there, figure out, because it is an investment. I mean, remember, everything is an investment because it could be a bad investment too.
Yeah,
you spending money on it. So it's an investment nevertheless. So I would use it on that aspect.
That makes
and,
sense.
Move it down the line. Whatever I see, because if I'm the leader of my family, that's how I would see it. I would say, well, this is the direction we're going to go into. Now, quite frankly, you're going to have some of them kids that want to do something outside of that's different. But I would heavily suggest that...
You would heavily suggest?
I would heavily suggest, because if you're looking for daddy to pay it...
I know that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's
right. It got to
facts.
make sense.
That's
it got to
facts.
make sense. Like you said, communications, no, you know how to communicate well. I taught you how to communicate since you was youngin'. So that's not what you're going to be focused on. You're not coming out of there saying, hey, Dad, I learned how to communicate.
What if they want to study art, bro?
They want to study art?
Art. They want to study art.
You know, there's a group of people out there that says, oh, you should let the kids pick what they want to do.
Nah.
Let the kids go. It's a group of people out there that think like that.
It is.
And they be
It
the
is,
ones
right.
who end up paying all that money back and their kids in loans, or
Yep.
kids stuck at home and kids depressed.
Yep, can't do nothing because before you even got started in life, you've been shackled with this enormous, insurmountable financial obligation called a student loan. And understand this, student loan debt is the only type of debt that is unforgivable. It will ride on your back until you die.
That's crazy.
It will ride on your, all these other ones. If you file, for bankruptcy and all this type of stuff, you can get all the rest of the consumer debt wiped out. That student loan debt, boy, listen here, it's like a disease. It's like a disease.
Crazy. Crazy.
So you need to make sure that you got a plan, an actionable plan, that will allow you to not only pay the debt back, but allow you to prosper. Because it's proven that college graduates make significantly more than on a job than people that did not go to college, right? But remember, we talked about that opportunity cost, right? So yeah, you make more money, but guess what? You also have to pay more money because you have to pay that student loan back. So when you got an additional $500 to $900 a month going out, and hopefully you can sustain that for however long it's going to take you to pay that off. And what is it, like 6 years? That you have to pay that consistently every month to pay that loan back because the interest is steadily gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining. Nah, man, you need to have something that's going to allow you to pay that back at an accelerated rate, meaning that you're making enough money to live, assuming that you've chosen to live by yourself. You have enough money to live and, have all of the, things that you need to exist and pay that financial burden back.
That's a good way to look at it, how you break that down, the equation. Before you go to school, you need to figure out how much money you're going to be spending to go to this college, and then do the math on it. Is it worth in that field? Are you going to make that money back or more than what you're going to invest in going to college? That equation of, does that math make sense?
I got a question. So what do y'all would think about when somebody say it's not about the money, I just want to follow my dreams? What
Dreams cost?
Dreams are dreams for a reason. You be sleep when you have them.
Okay.
You sleep when you have them. Listen here, you got to wake up and live in the real world. You got to wake up and live in the real world. Just like D just got finished saying. You want me to finance your education? Okay, cool, that's fine. But see, this is a transaction. This is a business transaction. And anytime you got a business transaction, what's going to be the main thing you focus on?
Return. Yeah.
ROI. What is going to be the return on the investment? You're asking me to finance you. Okay, well, you got some type of student programs. You get what? Pell Grant?
Yeah.
You get a Pell Grant. Boom. But the Pell Grant ain't going to cover you all the way through graduate school.
And if you're smart enough, you get a full ride.
And if you're smart enough, you can get a full ride, or if you're into sports, you can catch a ride doing sports. But see, all of this is planning. This is all planning, right? I'm not telling you to go and become the next LeBron James, but if you into basketball and you got ambitions on going to college, well, you need to get good enough at basketball to allow the basketball to support the financial burden of going to college. You know what I'm saying?
Still requires the equation.
It's still. So there's work involved. There's work involved, there's planning involved, there's dedication involved. So you have to put yourself in the position of, what is it that I want to do? What is that I want to do? Because there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Now, if your parents are smart about it, they had you in dual enrollment. And you can start dual enrollment as early as 6th grade. So, once a child learns how to read, write, and count, sign them up for dual enrollment. So that way, by the time they finish high school, they can finish high school with a bachelor's degree. We know this. We have students that graduated college before they graduated high school. Right? We did 2 so far. We working on the 3rd one right now. And the 3rd one is going to have a bachelor's degree before she even finished high school. So if that's a route that you're interested in taking, what are you waiting for? You say, oh, well, kids, they need to be kids. I don't know what that means. Y'all know what that means?
I don't think parents do enough research themselves. They don't even know how to entertain that. They don't even know how to push that on their kids. They so lazy with getting information.
Yeah, it's a lack of information though. Lack of information for sure. 110% lack of the information.
More about prestige
for the parents that's not really understanding that college is not necessarily your outcome. It just seems to be, like you say, it's a look. It looks good for you, but that don't necessarily need to be your outcome. Because quite frankly, it's probably easy for you to go to military or go pick up a trade, and if you want to gain success like that. Because if you think that the college route will automatically save you, then I disagree with that. Because I just disagree from personal experiences. The bro here, my sister, these are personal experiences, people, like I said, I didn't go, but I seen two people that did go, and I realized how hard it was for my parents to even try to fund that. Like they couldn't even fund it, So it just when you don't have no income in college, that's that's extremely hard. I can only imagine. Like I've seen that.
What that lead to?
Yeah.
What that lead to when you send a person out of the state and unable to provide for them financially? What position you put that person, that kid in?
Oh man, that's
Y'all
a
share the live. Share that live now.
tough
Share that live.
situation, boy. 'Cause-
But that's facts. I'm sure that you probably had a similar experience too, right?
oh yeah,
You went out of state though.
Yeah.
Damn.
Chicago, Illinois.
That's crazy, cause if you don't have no support and your parents, let's say, send you off to college, a couple of noodles become a little pricey after a while.
Luxury.
Boy,
You
that's
know
some
what I'm
jail
saying?
stuff
Luxury.
right there.
boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure,
it's
sure.
like jail. You ain't got no money. That's tough. Cause once the cap close at 8, you ain't got no groceries in the dorm. Then what? That's where the social aspect comes in. That's what I learned the most about going to college. Cause coming from Miami, you have that mindset of, oh, I ain't friendly. But when you hungry at 2 in the morning and you see your roommate have a cup noodles over there, hey fam, can I get a cup of noodles? Now you done swallowed your pride. Now all of a sudden now, you just made a friend now. So that's the only benefit I see college is for. That's it.
The networking. Well, like I said, man, you know, and these are all pretty compelling arguments. It's pretty compelling arguments, especially in the day and age that we're in now, where you have unlimited access to information. You literally have unlimited access to information. There's no information that's available to the public that you can't get access to at any time, anywhere in America. So it kind of, you know, it kind of it kind of throws things off a little bit, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna pay $100 grand for what? For access to information, because that's really what it's supposed to be about. You pay to go to college, to go to university, for access to information. But when that information was commoditized and made available to everybody, well, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, there's nothing like strategic guidance and specialized guidance, experience in the field. That's what you're supposed to be getting from a professor. But I'm yet to see a business professor, you know, at least in, you know, in our realm, that owns a successful, profitable business.
Yeah, that's always a good argument right there, right? That's always an excellent argument. That'd be a touchy one, because
Business administration, business management, but they don't teach you how to start a business from ground zero, right? So we went and we started a business, right? We had no training. Y'all had any training in business management?
None whatsoever.
never.
None whatsoever. So everything that we learn from experience, from boots on the ground, hardcore, in the trench, in the mud experience. We learned some lessons, some good lessons. We learned. Is there such thing as a bad lesson?
I don't think so.
Nah,
It's
I
a
don't
lesson.
think
It's
so.
a lesson.
It's
A
not-
lesson is a lesson. I don't think there's a such thing as a bad lesson.
No.
We learn some difficult lessons for sure.
Yeah.
Some difficult lessons and some expensive ones too. Now, you can take that route. You can take that route and say, okay, well, y'all did it and y'all was successful at it, and I could do that too. Well, I'm gonna warn you. I'm gonna warn you. The way that we did things, the way that we built our business, we didn't do it the traditional way. We didn't do it the traditional way.
Yeah.
See, what we built first was a sense of brotherhood and a sense of camaraderie. Shout out Cold Blue in the chat. We built a sense of brotherhood and a sense of camaraderie before we built anything, right? So once we began to build the business, we already had the support basis of each other before we even started the business. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And that allowed us to persevere through the inevitable hard times and through that curve of I don't know what I don't know. And
To
that,
the abyss of business.
the abyss, I'm telling you, it's the abyss. You do not know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody talk about starting their own business. Everybody talk about starting their own LLC, right? But then when you start asking the particular questions, you start to realize that it's not very many entrepreneurs out there, right? You start asking particular questions like federal taxes versus sales tax, right? Most people don't know that there's a difference between the two.
For sure.
I didn't.
They don't know. They say, well, I'm an entrepreneur, I got my own business, right? You pay your sales. Oh yeah, I pay 7% sales tax, 6% sales, and 1% use, right? And then you say, well, what about the federal taxes? They say, well, what? Well, I pay the tax. No, that's sales tax. You have to pay federal tax, right? See, all of these are learning curves because see, once you got so far along, you ain't paid these taxes. If you make enough money, trust me, Uncle Sam gonna come knocking on your door,
Absolutely.
and you gotta pay him. You have got to pay him. So whether you pay $100 grand to the university for your education, or you end up having to pay $100,000+ to Uncle Sam in back taxes, right? Because you didn't have the information, you didn't have the curve, right? You say, well, how do you get that information then? Well, you probably gonna have to get a mentor. But see, that costs. That costs. All of this stuff costs. So you need a plan. You need to come into a conclusion of your mind. You say, well, I don't like people telling me what to do. I want to have freedom and control over my own schedule. I don't want to cap on how much money I can make. Okay, well, it sounds like entrepreneurship might be the way for you to go. But that doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. That don't mean it's gonna be easy, right? Because I'm sure everybody up here can probably have some rebuttals against everything that I just said, right? Just because you choose to be an entrepreneur, does that mean you're gonna be successful?
No.
When you choose to be an entrepreneur, do you have control over your time and your money?
No.
Do you have it?
Not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily.
What? Let's elaborate on that a little bit, just for all of those people that, because I don't think anybody should look at the other one and say, well, you'll be better off if you did this.
Yeah.
Because it's trade-offs.
Yeah.
It's trade-offs, right?
Yeah. It kind of breaks down to, like you said, what's the return on the investment? Basically, like, what is it costing me? So, like you said, whether it's going to be studies, whether it's going to be sacrifice of time, sacrifice of friends and family. This is all also what happens in the business too. So when you're looking for what's my return on investment, then what am I giving up? And then after that, you look at, okay, so what is it supposed to produce? So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be really critical about that.
Yeah.
You have to be really critical about that because it could take you 10 years before you start seeing a return on your investment. 10 years before you start seeing a return. So, and I know college could be similar because quite frankly, you could be in college for 10 years before you actually can go in the field and make $1. You know what I'm saying? So while you in college all this time, you just accumulating quite a bit of debt and before you could go out there and see. But you have to look at it and say, okay, so once I do start making this money, does my life change? What starts happening? Was it a good investment? So these are the things, like, it just kind of boils back to what he said about the equation that needs to happen. And it's the same thing in business. So it's not like you say, it's not like, oh, one is better than the other. It depends on that person. You know what I'm saying? It depends on that person. Because if I knew I was not into college. I knew that. That wasn't nothing. As soon as I got 10th grade, I realized, like, once I made money outside of school, what the goal is to make money. That was the goal to me at that time. A lot of times you go to college and you say so you could make more money than the average person. Yeah. So I knew that, I saw that, and I'm like, well, I can make money. So continue going to school to make money, but I'm making money.
Yeah, correct.
So this is but that's why you say you need to have that mentor too, because if I also had a mentor sitting there and giving me, some relationship teachings, because it's not only about making money, but essentially the goal was to be successful. And a lot of time what becoming successful is you need to be financially sound.
Absolutely.
So I thought to myself immediately, like, what you telling me to learn or sit here and teach me and then go to school for another supposedly 4 years to do that? Nah, that's not going to happen. I know how to make money already. Whether it was legal or illegal, I knew how to attain some money. So I think it depends on that person. But it
was all legal though.
Yeah. It was all for sure all legal.
Yeah.
But it depends on that person. I absolutely 110% depend on that individual. Are you the type of individual that's looking to be a patient person and that would like to learn a thing before they actually, or you want to be one of those risk takers? I was a risk taker. I was ready to go do the thing. You say, man, I'm finna try right now, and fail at it and try right now. But then you got some of them ones that's going to take it nice and slow and they want to have all the information before they go out there and attack it. That's the same way in business.
Yeah.
The same way in business. In the business, you seen, we all just tried it. We just went out there and tried it and failed. But the difference was because we already had built the foundation of brotherhood, we was able to fail quickly, and like if I'm falling,
Got
bro
a
was able
soft
to catch
landing.
me. Yeah, you understand?
Facts.
So that would help us. Our situation was a smidge bit different.
Yeah.
Than like that's why you said it wasn't the traditional way.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't think one is better than the other. I don't really think one is better than us because I like to hire some college grads to come into this operation and whatever skill you may have, because bring on that information. That's why I say I do it to my kids. Bring that information here, you know. But I'm not for to sit there and get the information. Look, you come here, you know, and
No, that's facts. And when you look at successful people, you look at the millionaires and the billionaires. They say the difference between millionaires and billionaires is that millionaires are intellectually smart and billionaires are emotionally intelligent. There's a lot of wealthy people that will produce the same argument that we're producing right now, which is that you don't have to go to college to be prosperous. You don't have to go to college to be successful. It is an avenue that you can take. But just like anything that you do, you gotta have a plan, man. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
So, sure.
And that's just the reality of the situation, you know, because even if you choose to go to school to get a degree in a field that is, you know, prominent, the institution matters too, right?
Yeah.
The institution matters too. So you going to, you know, South Florida School for Technology, you know what I'm saying? That's not the same as if you went to, you know, FAMU, which is not the same as if you went to MIT, which is not the same as if you went to Harvard.
Yeah.
You see how the game goes?
Yeah.
So all of that stuff goes into, you have to
like
do
a
the
game.
homework.
That sounds like a game.
It is a game.
Yeah.
That sounds like a game, right?
It is a game,
Why
bro.
the hell is it different?
It is a game, man. And it's rigged. It is rigged. But you could sit there and complain about, oh, the game is rigged, the game is rigged, it's set up for us to fail. It's set up for the uninformed to fail.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely.
So the more information that you go out there and get, the safer you'll be. The safer you'll be. There's no guarantees in anything. But you can mitigate a lot of the potential risks, a lot of the potential negative risks. You can mitigate a lot of that if you plan effectively. So the planning is the key. So that's why I always emphasize reading, writing, arithmetic, critical thinking. With those 4 things, those 4 skills, I think those are the 4 skills that if you give your child those 4 skills, they will have whatever is necessary for them to accomplish whatever they want to do, right? If they choose to go to school, they choose to go to, you know, what do they call, post-secondary school? Post-secondary, you want to go to college and all of that stuff, then you have the skills that are necessary for you to excel in that. If you choose to go straight into the workforce, go straight into a career, right? You have the skills that are necessary for you to excel at that, right? Because think about what, bro, remember when we first started? When we first started the business, what was our main thing? We was going to those events, and what we was doing every single event.
What, learning?
Like, but what, remember,
What do you
we'll go to, let's say we'll do a seafood festival, right? And we'll go out there with our setup that we done mapped out, you know, we thinking that we done mapped it out and did a good job, right? Then we get out there and what happened?
Oh, I had to improvise.
Oh, like a test proof.
Or I had to switch up something.
You gotta improvise, you gotta switch things up. You looking at other people's setup and you comparing it to your setup and saying,
Analyzing, gathering data.
well, you looking at who had the longest lines and who had the most sales. You looking at what they're selling. You looking at the way that they're selling it. You looking at the system that they got to provide the product, right? You're taking all this. All of this is critical thinking skills.
Studying.
Yeah.
It's critical thinking skills, man. So if you give the framework, the foundation and the framework, the structure, then they can accomplish whatever they want to do, especially with the age that we're going into now, which is this age of AI. In a little bit, I'm talking probably as early as 2030, they're gonna get this quantum computer thing down pat. Once the quantum computers merge with the artificial intelligence, I'm not sure what's getting ready to happen to all of these schools.
It almost sounds like a war against schools now at that point.
Bro,
Because I can learn the same information you learn
Bro.
at a cheaper rate,
At a-
cheaper
I-
cost.
I can get a PhD sitting right here in front of my computer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
And the companies may not care. Okay, if you graduate from this school, are you able to fulfill this task? Are you aware with AI? Can you use AI? How much can you benefit us? Not okay just because you graduate from this college. If you can have this college degree from this college and you get into this workforce, you're not able to fulfill the task as fast as somebody who know how to master AI. Well, nah, that's an easy advantage. Yeah, that's an easy advantage.
You're right about that. It's so funny because I remember when we was redesigning our restaurant. Now, typically, it's so funny about that. You would have to pay an architect, designer, to come in here and draw out a CAD for you. And then you take that CAD, they take the CAD and put it into whatever software they use and, try to give you a visual of what that. You know, fast forward to AI now. I take a picture and I tell the artificial intelligence, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. I tell them, hey, this is what I want. And go ahead, duplicate this for me. Now, guess what? I done skipped the architect, right? And I go straight to the builder. And I go to this engineer and I say, hey, now you see this picture? This is what I want to. So what happened to that person that we were supposed to be paying for that?
Man,
What happened to all that money that person paid to learn that to be architect?
Bro.
Absolutely.
So now you
Somebody
gotta go
come
find
5
another-
years, 10 years later, learn how to prompt the AI, and I just cut you out.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's exactly what
the
happened.
landscape is getting ready to change so drastically.
That's
I believe that was Sam Altman. You know, he wrote a letter. You know, ChatGPT is a game changer, man. It's a game changer. It doesn't. You shouldn't let it think for you, but it is a very useful tool to help you think.
Exactly.
Right? He wrote a letter. I forget what the name of the letter was called, but he said that we have stepped into the singularity. Right? So just for reference, the singularity is basically the point of no return. It's the point of no return of a black hole. A black hole is supposed to be the most powerful combination of gravity in the universe, right? Nothing is supposed to be able to escape the gravity of a black hole, not even light. And light is moving at like 186,000 miles per second. So even light isn't fast enough to escape the gravity of the black hole. So once you stepped into the singularity, NASA, all of the profound scientists of the world, they've never been able to see through the other side of a black hole. And they have referred to artificial intelligence as the singularity. You know what I mean? We don't know what the other side of our world looks like with this type of technology. You know, and people like Elon Musk, he has advocated for a long time to slow production, but it's like Pandora's box. You know, and once you done opened it, can you imagine them saying, well, we're gonna kill ChatGPT?
Absolutely. That's like imagining them saying that we're gonna kill the internet
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
or social media.
That's not gonna happen. Because even if you kill it, what's gonna happen?
Hey, somebody gonna find something.
Somebody
else.
finna build another one.
Yeah, they're gonna do something.
Somebody finna build another one.
So-
We've stepped into the singularity. So it only advances from here. So what does work look like on the other side of this? I don't think that you know, you got a lot of dystopian views, a lot of people who feel like, well, this is gonna be a net negative because a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs. I think it's gonna be transformational. Excuse me. I think it's gonna be transformational. And yeah, a lot of people are probably gonna lose their jobs, but it will also create new jobs.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Now, how that works out and in what fields, I'm not sure. This is what I'm saying. You want to spend $100,000. Some people, you know, if you're going to get a doctorate or anything like that, or medical school or law school, you paying high six figures, 200,000, 250, 300K.
100K, facts.
You know what I mean? You want to go to medical school at UM, you dishing out 350K. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like, man, you're gonna spend that type of money for what? For Optimus? Elon Musk said that Optimus is going to be a better surgeon than the best surgeons in the world. Optimus. The $30,000 robot, humanoid robot, will be better at surgery than the best surgeons in the world. So you're gonna send your child to school to become a surgeon, right? By the time they finish all of the credentialing that's necessary for them to get the title of general surgeon, that's about 14 years, 12 to 14 years worth of school. So 12 to 14 years, so let's just average it out and say 13 years. We go 13 years from 2026. What year is that? What's 26 plus 13?
39?
39, yeah.
That's 39 or 49?
You said 26, right?
Yeah.
13 years?
Yeah.
20,
2039?
2039.
26 and then 36.
That's
is 10.
2039?
Yeah, 26 and
That's
36 is 10.
Oh,
and then add 3
right.
on there, it's 39.
My number's a little bit off today. All right, so you're talking 2039, all right? By 2030, bro, it's AI is gonna be I'm not gonna say super intelligence, but definitely general intelligence. AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Bro, what's that? What's the guy name that gave us that that pyramid of how to build? Not Boyce Watkins. What's the other guy name?
Claude Anderson.
Claude Anderson. And see, this is why I would use that concept of because right now, if you want to go to college and you're poor,
It's not the way for you to go.
you know, because
That's it.
you thinking that that's gonna save you.
Mhm.
You feel like, and that's what kind of been taught to us. Like that's gonna save. My baby went to college and they come back and they're drunk.
She could.
And they come back and smoke weed. And they come back, they party animal, they're a promoter. They doing nothing that they went there for.
Nothing,
But,
exactly.
but the reasons why is because when you look at it is because I'm looking to still attain money. But what if I had the money already? See, I would be more interested in saying, hey, what do you like to do?
Facts.
You know, so when you go back to that dream talk, I dream to be. Nah, it still got to make sense. But let's just say you say I dream to be, you know, a top designer of said thing. You know, I want to create. I want to be an innovator of this new thing, whatever it may be. Right?
Yeah.
You have more. You're more open to that idea because you have already done financially grounded yourself already.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So if I want to invest in my kid to go and be an innovator, they're going to innovate into a space. Well, we don't know if it's going to make a lot of money. We're not necessarily sure. But guess what? You sound financially
sound.
already. So you're more inclined to say, hey, I can invest $100,000 into you.
See, that makes
you know,
sense. That makes
it makes a lot more sense versus what we be doing right now. We poor.
Yeah.
We barely, and then we poor and we barely get through school. Or you could be poor and very intelligent, and then you go sit in the school, but they struggle and they don't have no money.
Struggle, exactly. So
When you got no money, now how focused are you gonna be? Like you said earlier, how focused am I gonna be sitting in front of a professor when I know when I leave from here, I'm trying to see how I got to get $15 so I can eat for later.
exactly. That don't make no sense.
I'm gonna be the next thing I'm gonna be doing is going to college. Then I'm gonna start working.
Yeah. Now you lose.
Now you lose focus. Exactly.
focus, you tired,
feel me?
can't
Because
do it.
I'm trying to make sure I have some money because my people ain't sending me no money. So, or if I'm not gonna be working, I'm gonna try to hustle. I'm gonna try to get something on the side. Or when that money, what that money they call the financial,
check.
whatever that refund check come, you're gonna be using it to do foolish things because you don't have you don't have any financial literacy. One, so you don't even understand what to do with the money when you get the money. And then number two, you're hungry.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I wouldn't. That's why college it's a little challenging when you're poor. You understand? So
Yeah.
that equation you got to have it lined up. Well, in our situation right now with our younger kids, you know, my youngest one is 10 months. With somebody like her situation, by the time she's 18, I can only imagine 18 years from now where I would be at with the business. I can only imagine you come and say, "Hey, Daddy, I want to go and do this." Oh yeah, it's much more sense because I already done built this first level. You understand? So
And the money is not the focus.
it's not the focus, but that's what most of the time it be right now. It's the focus. I'm trying to go get money. I'm trying to get money. I want to get a better job. I want to get a better job. Money, 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 money. And then you find yourself and
Not to mention the education that you're going to receive against your own self.
yeah, right.
Can't forget that part.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely for the
Because
teacher.
how many people go away to school and come back educated against them, against their own self and against their own community? Now, I don't believe in ghetto mindset. I don't advocate ghetto mindset. I don't believe in ghetto culture. I don't promote it in any way, form, or fashion. I'm not about that. Right? But at the same time, I do know who I am. I do have an identity, and I do believe in a culture. Right? And a lot of the times what happened is we as a people, we believe that education that becomes, it almost in a sense becomes a savior, right? And when you get educated in the university, a lot of the times what happened is you're taught that where you come from is bad. Now the circumstances can be bad. There's no question about that, right? But How many children, black children, are taught to go to the university, to receive an education, to take that education and bring it back to their community, to bring their community up? You don't do that. You're not taught to do that.
No.
What you're taught to do is you go to get the education to go and get a job in, you know where, PWIs, predominantly white institutions, right? And this is not, I don't believe in that black versus white thing. I don't believe in that, right? You put forth value, you get compensated for the value that you put forth. But we can't ignore the reality of the situation. You are not educated to come back into your own community and build your community up. And that's exactly what Claude Anderson talks about in Powernomics. That's exactly what he talks about. So, you know, as far as what you just said, bro, that I resonate with that 100%. I resonate with that 100%. You send a person that's lacking identity. So they're going to college, not just to get an information base, but they're also going to college to gain an identity, right? To become somebody, and then they identify by their title, which is why all of this depression that we're dealing with now, because you go to college and you spend an insurmountable amount of money to develop an identity, and then when you can't actively work in this newfound identity, right? Now you have to change your identity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where that disconnect comes into play. So I think that if you emphasize those four major skills, reading, writing, arithmetic, and critical thinking, right? You give the child that. They have the foundation to do anything. You know what I mean? So the World Economic Forum projects that nearly 40% of workers' core skills are going to change by 2030. So then the question comes up, what happens when the skill that you paid 4 years to learn can be partially automated 2 years after you graduate? That's going to be very devastating for a lot of people. That's going to hurt a lot of people, man. You done spent all of this money, you done spent all of this time in this university, right? And the thing that you paid for is no longer relevant, right? So that's why the foundation, the fundamentals are important. Why? Because it gives you the agency, the ability to maneuver and move in between lanes, right? And kind of shift as you need to, as necessary. You're not just so situated in one point or one particular aspect. You got the fluency to move between whatever you need to move between, so that way you can keep up with the time.
For sure.
You know, as an example of that, you remember back in the days, like the early 1900s, where computers, like I would say right when computers came out, like the early 2000s. You remember you had a software, and that software stuck with you for a certain amount of years before you updated the new software. You had to get out a disk or some type of chip, or something to update that software.
Yeah.
Now the software is so automated to where it updates automatically. So imagine you in a company that uses a software that takes a certain amount of years to update, compared to a company that automates and updates maybe daily, weekly, monthly, and you're not able to adapt with that new change of system. You're going to be left behind and outdated and overlooked by some of these new companies or these new tech people that understands AI.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting for your career or your employer to train you in this new software. You're going to always be behind, always be outdated. So that's kind of like an example of how fast information and how fast data and how fast software and how fast things changing with this AI.
I always tell the kids, the future belongs to those that acquire skills and combine them in creative ways. So you want to learn as much as you possibly can, and you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to learn something, right? You got so many different resources that's available to you, all right? From the internet, the internet is just, we have access to more information now than kings have had throughout all of history. There is no excuse for ignorance. You are only ignorant because you choose to be ignorant. That's the only reason that you have to be ignorant.
For sure.
Because that's your choice. You know what I mean? So those core skills are super important. They're super important. Now, whether you choose to employ those core skills to further your education, right? And you should always be learning. We learn, right? We spend our money to go to best practices events, networking events. We've done quite a few.
Yes.
Quite a few. Would you say that the information that we gained from that was beneficial?
Absolutely.
Would you even say it was crucial?
Absolutely, man. Gut wrenching.
Worth the money spent.
So all that, well, I'm not finna pay for information when information is free. That's not the argument that's being made here. I'm not saying that you should not pay for information, because the right information in the right context makes all the difference.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference. So you got access to information, but if you don't know how to pull the information into context, then it's useless. It's like having a firearm with no ammunition. Right? Okay, people look at it and see it, and it might even deter a few threats. But what happens in you in a life or death situation, and now you need to use that firearm, and you ain't got no bullets in that firearm?
Yeah.
You stuck.
Yeah.
You stuck. So the education, along with the context and perspective, is important. So you should pay for good information from reputable people, right? I have a little formula that I use when it comes down to taking advice. When it comes down to taking advice from people, you need to find out, one, is this person trustworthy? Two, is this person qualified to give the information that they're given? And three, does this person have my best interest at heart? If whatever the person or the institution is fulfilling all of those requirements, then it's probably good to take advice from them. Everything is not going to be free. You should not expect everything to be free.
For sure.
You should expect to pull your weight. You should expect to pay your weight, right? Now, if you get access to something for free, you get a hold of some free game. Well, that's wonderful. But see, typically it don't work like that.
Free ain't never free. Somebody paid for it.
Somebody paid for it
Somebody paid for it.
in some way, form, or fashion, right?
Yeah.
So you just choosing to to pull time and money forward, right? All right, just imagine if we would have learned the things that we learned just recently over the past couple of years. What if we knew this stuff when we first started business, bro?
Oh, wow. Oh, man, we'd have been so much further ahead. Absolutely.
So much further ahead, man. So we'd probably be at the $10 million point at this
Absolutely.
point, right?
Absolutely, man.
That's those hard lessons.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we had a pretty good mix of people that were we had people who were college graduates, even master's degrees, even some PhD, right? And then we had the other side of the spectrum where you had people that may have been high school diploma, some high school dropout, some middle school dropout, right? So we had a good mix of. Oh yeah, boy, listen here, boy.
The middle school dropout game.
Yeah, boy.
Sheesh,
Oh, yeah.
boy.
Now see, you can't be, for lack of better words, you can't be dumb and lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't be dumb and lazy. So if you're gonna drop out of school in middle school, you better be a hard ass worker. You know what I'm
Dumb
saying?
and lazy.
Right. You going now? It'd be great if you could be smart and have a good work ethic. But if you dropped out of school in middle school, chances are you might not be that intelligent. I'm just
You
saying.
have some technology you working on.
AI might not be able to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to be a really hard worker, or you need to get with somebody that's real smart, right? But see, that's what gave us a good balance, I think, bro.
Yeah.
That whole DISC assessment, right? The D is for the dominant, the I is for the influential, the S is for the what the S stand for?
Was it so? What was it? Social?
What the S stand for? That wasn't social.
It was
Steady. And then the C was the conscious. See, Coach, she coming in doing her job. Boy, I tell you the truth, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you gotta have a good blend. The dominant one, the one that's not afraid to make a decision, call the shots, right? That type of attitude.
hurt the feelings.
Hurt the feelings. See, this is probably the C student. That was probably a C student. See, they don't really care what other people think about them. They don't really care so much. Why? Because they've been picked on their whole life. They've been picked on their whole life, and they kind of developed the attitude of, man, well, it is what it is. I'm going to get picked on anyway, so I'm going to just do it. What that turns into when they become adults is an attitude of, well, this is the way it's finna go, and I'm not really too interested in what you think about it.
Absolutely.
That's what that turns into. Then you have the influencer, right? The influencer is the one that's good at people. They build relationships. They have good social skills and things like that, right? See, in school, what was that type of person?
Popular.
Right, the class clown.
Class clown. They was pretty popular. You know what I'm saying? They knew a lot of people, had a lot of relationships, type situation, right? Then the steadfast person, this was the one that was in school or in the business or in the workforce. The steadfast person is the one that always delivers, right? They always deliver. They always show up. They always understand everybody's side of the story, right? That caring, nurturing type person. This is the type of people that you'll probably find like HR and stuff like that.
Had the perfect attendance.
Had the perfect attendance.
Never
Yeah,
missed
facts.
the homework assignment. They're the ones
the
that
teacher
tell you.
pet one.
I'm trying to tell you the ones
You
that
did
tell
extra
you.
with
Well,
it.
we had homework today.
Yeah, for real. Why would you tell the teacher we had
Yeah,
the
you remember the
homework?
homework? Oh
Yeah, we did have homework. See you at 3 o'clock.
yeah. Nah, for sure.
So that's what the steadfast person, that's what they were like in school. And then that C is that conscious person, that one that's super meticulous, the you know, they probably got the the good grades in school, straight A's, they abide by the rules and strictly by the rules. Right?
Yeah.
So you gotta have that mix. You need that mix, that particular mix. Right? All that I did it on my own, I ain't need no help from nobody, all that's cap. That's all cap. That's all cap. Everybody had somebody help them, right? So the more versed you are in those foundational skills, in my opinion, that reading comprehension, the ELA skills, the writing skills, and your ability to communicate your message, because that translates into a lot of different things, right? If you can effectively get your point across, you can effectively paint the vision, whatever it is that you're thinking, you can transfer that visual into somebody else's mind. All of that stuff correlates, right? Your ability to read the text directly correlates to your ability to read the room.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's more than just the academic aspect of things. It translates into so many other different things, right? And then of course that critical thinking aspect, your ability to make good decisions, your judgment. You know what I mean? So the more information that you have to pull from, the easier it'll be for you to make decisions. It all comes back to our core principles, right? The principles, ethics, morals, values, and the code of conduct, that PEMVCC framework in the revenue revelation. So the more you instill that and enforce that, that is more of a future-proof upbringing for a child than any college degree that you will get. And at least in my opinion, what y'all say about that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. For sure. Totally agree with that.
So just going through a few things, and a lot of it, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and a lot of other official organizations are saying that a lot of the skills that children should be focusing on now, since we've stepped into this singularity and it's not very certain what the workforce is going to look like, if there will even be a workforce. You got some people who go to the extreme and say that the majority of jobs are going to disappear and people are going to have to get UBI, which is universal basic income. I don't know if that is a good thing. You got a bunch of people sitting around doing nothing and getting paid to do nothing.
That's
Yeah.
depression.
It's great
They
because,
stop that.
yes and no. Maybe that might not. Yes and no with that UBI. I also think that what it would do is it would with artificial intelligence, especially with that merge with quantum computers. I think that would allow for the physical labor to decrease, and you can still make solid money. So you won't have to probably go to a job and spend 8 hours there, because at that point it seems like the human will be more of the manager versus the actual employer, you know what I'm saying, versus the actual hands-on person. So I think that's where the UBI concept will come in at, because people don't make a lot of money, they'll still make a lot of money, but your tasks will minimize. You won't have so much tasks that you would have to do. For an example, now the phases that I think that, as far as like in our industry, hospitality, specifically restaurant, I think that it would be that would probably be on the bottom of the totem pole, because cooking food is usually something that has to be done by a person, especially the type of food that we cook.
You want a person to make that.
Yeah, exactly. More than likely, for sure. They understands the social behind that. But when you have someone that's like saying making a schedule, like I don't need an HR department here if I have something that I could put the names in, put the qualifications of this person, and said, hey, automate me a schedule for the next month using these people. So now the only thing I would have to do is literally hire a person to manage that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to sit there and be on an Excel sheet for 8 hours a day, et cetera, et cetera. You can actually come in there and just pretty much for the most part is say, let me just make sure everything checks out, boom, send them on about their way. And that's gonna go across a lot of jobs so people can still make solid money, but less labor.
And that also pulls a certain qualification of people, because to be that manager over that, you must be qualified and able to understand how AI works and how to manage all this new technology. So that puts a lot of people who's not very familiar with AI or who just only know how to do laborious work, that kind of brings you down on the totem pole. And less of those people is going to be seen in the business, or a select few who's able to manage and knows technology. So that also kind of creates that separates the pools of people who understand how to use AI and people who just understand labor.
Yeah, so what I was telling them was that with the UBI thing, like I just feel like I said, it's gonna just put managers versus so much hands-on employees. So I gave an example of the HR department. Like if you need an HR department here, you know, but you give the artificial intelligence, say, hey, I have these qualifiers here, and I need a schedule for a month, and this is what they're gonna be paying. Go ahead, put that into the software and generate that. Or you will have a person just to come and oversee this. They don't have to sit there and go through an Excel for 8 hours a day, et cetera, et cetera. So what you were just basically saying that, you know, now you would just have to have a person that's tech savvy in that particular AI, that module, learning how to do that. So you don't need that many hands, I think. It'll just be a little bit less hands, but the pay can still be top tier, because most of the money will be going to probably paying a subscription for whatever, you know what I'm saying, AI model that you're using. So I think that's where it would more so go to. Because remember that they have an argument that, I don't know if that was Altman, that said that the argument was that it allows people to get back more engaged with their families. You know, because you spend a lot of time in that workforce. You're talking about 60-hour work weeks, no time spent with your wife and kids, et cetera. So that was the opposite argument to it somewhat just taking the jobs away and making people just do nothing. Actually, there's a movie out that shows that your relationships increase better. What was that movie you watched the other day where they got locked in a house?
Oh, The Last House Standing?
The Last House Standing.
Yeah.
And their relationships, because they had no technology at that point, everything was off, they lost all signals, and it was just kind of locked in, and their relationships got so much better. You know, now obviously they got to put a twist to, you know, using Paramount and all that type of stuff. But, you know, if I'm spending less time, and that happens now, if I'm spending less time in the field, then quite frankly, I can spend a lot more time with raising and implementing the principles that I want. A lot of times that's be the issue why you can't even implement PEMVCC in your family, because you're always working. That's why I knew that was the case with my dad. I knew how he wanted to be, but that hands-on plays a big role. So I think that'll play a back-end role to the AI too, where can it help people to spend more time with their loved ones? So it's an interesting argument. Not necessarily just gonna put you into the what do we do? I don't have nothing to do type phase. I think that it can help out.
It just seems to me like it just kind of paves the way for like super corporations.
It does.
You
You're
know,
right.
you got a couple of entities or a couple of corporations that kind of control everything.
Yeah.
You know, so unfortunately, we don't really have a history in America of, you know, benign interests. Right? Somebody's always looking to get ahead off of somebody else's effort. You know, and that's kind of what capitalism is built on, right? And, you know, I'm not complaining about it. You know, I've committed the last 12 years of my life into learning the game, learning how the game is played, and then adjusting accordingly. But, you know, just the horizon that's ahead of us, it's an interesting one. How do you future-proof yourself against it? Like I said, it's the singularity. It's like stepping into a black hole. We don't know what's on the other side of this. All we know is Morgan Housel, he wrote the book, The Psychology of Money, and he wrote another book, it's called The Same as Ever. And his focus in this book is not so much focus on what is going to change in 10 years, but what stays the same, right? Warren Buffett, he, if you look at his portfolio, this man, he's one of the richest men in the world. One of the greatest investors, I'd have to say, of our time for sure. He said in that book, I believe Morgan Housel quoted him in The Psychology of Money, and he said, Snickers. He made a quote about Snickers. Let me see if I can find that quote.
So when he say what stays the same, what you think he was referring to?
When you're trying to figure out what's going to be the next big thing, what's going to be the next best thing, right? But what about the things that will stay the same, right? The things that you will always need, right? So there's all of this talk about AI, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, but guess what doesn't change?
Plumbing.
People still gonna use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? What about this? Check this. What does AI and quantum computer need no matter what?
Power.
Electricity. The same as ever. These are the things that will never change. Instead of trying to beat the game and get ahead of everybody else, why don't you just worry about the things that always stay the same?
Oh, so it's basically saying shift your focus point.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Right. So it all boils down to okay, here we go. Warren Buffett's now famous Snickers bar analogy comes from a 2009 conversation with a reporter during the depths of the financial crisis. Buffett was driving in his Cadillac and asked, "What was the best-selling candy bar in 1962?" The reporter didn't know, so Buffett said, "Snickers." Then he asked, "What's the best-selling candy bar today?" Again, the reporter didn't know, and Buffett replied, "Snickers." And the exchange ended there. So you're trying to worry about all of these things that are going to change. What stays the same? People will always have to talk to each other, right? Human beings, we have a certain proclivity to storytelling, right? Who doesn't like a good story?
Yeah, everybody likes a good story.
Everybody likes a good story,
Yeah.
right? So let's say, like, we bashed the communications degree a little bit earlier, but let's say that you took communications to learn how to do just that. Now that would be profitable. That would be something that would be useful, right? But in order to tell a story well, what you need to do, what you need to have. Let's unpack it, break it down. What do you need to have to tell a story?
Information.
You got to have a story to tell, number one, right? But then you probably need to have a mastery of the language, right?
Yeah.
Think of all of the greatest stories that you know of, right? Mastery of language is involved. When you think about David and Goliath, when you think about Adam and Eve, when you thinking about, I use Bible references because the Bible is, in my opinion, one of the greatest literary masterpieces to ever exist on the face of the earth.
Still a bestseller, isn't it?
Still a bestseller. It's been on the bestseller list since it started getting printed in 1611, right? So that's a testament right there. That's a testament, no pun intended. You see what I did there? So a mastery of the language is necessary, it's important. So why not emphasize that to your child? Emphasize mastering reading, mastering writing, mastering arithmetic, right? And I'm not saying that you got to be an expert in algebra and trigonometry and differential equations and all of that type of stuff, but I am saying that you need to learn arithmetic because algebra, trigonometry, calculus, all of that stuff is founded on arithmetic. So if you master arithmetic, then if you choose to study advanced math, which if you're going to college to get a degree, the degrees that make the good money have a lot of math. They got a lot of math. So if you're trying to avoid math, you're choosing your degree program based off of how much math is involved, well then you're probably gonna pick a degree that's not gonna make you no money. And you'll be part of the 40% of people that, the 22% of the people, no, what's the opposite of 22%? 88%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 88.
88.
So you'll be a part of that 88% of people that don't get a degree, that don't get a job in their degree field, right? You got a job in, communications. I mean, you got a degree in communications, and then you went and got a job at a restaurant.
You're gonna be a host.
And even with a host, you don't need a degree to do that.
Nope.
Definitely don't.
You're gonna be standing next to a person that dropped out of school in middle school. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. That's definitely what you could be
Yeah,
standing
that's
next
true.
to. That's a fact.
So those 4 years and that $100,000 was for what? Nothing? And you steadily paying it, hoping that the government forgive the loan? Nah, man, that ain't the play. That ain't the play right there.
You know, it's funny. Like about a year ago, it's so funny, man. I had a partner. He just came home from prison, like four years in prison, whatever. And but he was out for about a year and a half on the streets, and I was talking to him about AI. And I was just like, hey man, bro, I know, man, y'all use ChatGPT anyways for everything. I was just kind of having a conversation, and quite frankly, bro, he had no idea what that was. This
What
is about a year.
ChatGPT was?
Yeah, he had no idea. He heard the terminology AI, but he didn't know about ChatGPT specifically, nor Gemini, none of them. But the thing, what I was confused on, because there's a space of people that is probably gonna hurt the most, is the ones that don't even know the basics. Now, when you talk about who's gonna hurt from this, versus the college ads or the people that they take the entrepreneur route or people that just take the regular workforce route, that space of people that is so unaware of just that simple technology right there. I was confused and conflicted by that. I'm like, bro, you never heard of that? And like, nah, man, shoot. I mean, AI, yeah, I heard that, but you don't use it. Like, this is not common everyday life. So that space of people, to me, is one of the ones that I feel like,
You're gonna get forced out.
yes, that's where you're gonna be the ones that kind of get the bottom of the totem pole. And and of course, it's our people. And I feel so bad about that situation. So now, do you have to be a master in it? But you, like you say, you have to have a little bit of that critical thinking skills to be curious
Yeah.
about a thing,
Facts.
to go and just have some basic information about it. And I think that's where most of the information that we're